So in schooling, it's a bit very difficult because I guess there's not necessarily clear goals to win or like clear checkpoints to win.
Yeah, it'd probably just come down to sporting and schooling scenarios. So yeah, sports. If you take cricket for an example again, it's a hard game when you're not in form, which obviously happens to a lot of people. Obviously happens to me, happens to you.
Welcome to Ceyflix TV's Ceypod Live Next Gen podcast, where we talk about things that relate to teenagers and young adults, relating to work, life, and life beyond. So, Tira, today we'll be talking about the idea of winning versus enjoyment in life. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so I think first of all we just got to sort of define, what winning and enjoyment is and how we apply that in this context. So, winning, obviously we actually all know what winning means, but enjoyment is different feelings, so it can be defined as different things for different people. Enjoyment can be how you feel after you accomplish something, how you feel after you achieve a goal, how you feel after doing something that you're proud of. um Versus obviously winning, which is to succeed or to just achieve a big goal. So this obviously relates to sport, and winning and enjoyment, they can come together, but what is more important is the question that we're going to be talking about today. And in a sport context, obviously a lot of people say enjoyment is more important, but I believe it depends on levels, right? Obviously cricket or soccer or whatever sport someone's doing is, if it's a hobby, obviously enjoyment is key. If you don't enjoy something, you're not gonna win. Um, and then you're just sort of just doing it for no reason. So I think basics, enjoying something is a lot more important in sport. Um, but then as you get older, winning also becomes a part of that, and it also depends on your personality. I'm a competitive person, and I like to win. Um, you know, I feel like I enjoy my sport the most when I'm winning. Doesn't mean I can't enjoy it when I'm not winning, but I feel like that's that extra step of having, just enjoying a sport more. Um, so yeah, in a basic sport context, I think it just depends on personality and what you define enjoyment to be. So
Mm.
I'm guessing your sort of um perspective on this would be different. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, so in a way, you could define winning as a result.
Yeah.
It's that, I guess, being like, okay, that's ticked off. Whereas enjoyment is the feeling. And like you said, they both definitely can come together, can be separate. Um, Again, in like a sports context, like you said, being a hobby, enjoyment's a key thing because you don't really care if you win or lose. Because it's just the fact that you get to hang around with your friends, play a sport that makes you happy. That's the enjoyment side of things. But in a way, enjoyment can result in winning. Because if you're enjoying the thing that you're doing, the sport that you're playing, it probably means you are putting your 100% into it,
Yeah.
which then produces those individual team results, which lead to winning. Um, Sometimes winning might not be equivalent to enjoyment because you could have won a game. But in a team context, let's say, you don't think you quite contributed to it or you just feel like you did nothing, but the team won though.
Yeah.
So you've achieved that win goal. But have you really achieved that feeling of enjoyment? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in a way because it could go either way. But I think in life, though, it's important to keep a balance in the sense that it's more, I guess, more important in a way to keep the enjoyment side of things. Like you need to have that to keep you going,
Yeah.
you could say. And then it could kind of be a side hobby to win.
Yeah.
So because you're enjoying doing a certain position at work, you could say, you could be winning by moving up the hierarchy ladder. Similarly, in sport, you could be really enjoying what you're doing. It's resulting in wins, in game results going your way, moving up different age divisions. That means that you're able to do it at the highest level you can, but also because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because especially in sport, winning can be great, but if you don't have that, I guess, feeling of, yes, I want to do this, this is fun, that personal dedication, I suppose you could say, if you don't have that, there's no point in winning. Because when you do win, you still have to enjoy it. Even if potentially you might not think you did that well, I think you still need to.
Yeah, so I think that's that's obviously an interesting context to think about it. And we've discussed the sport side of winning and enjoyment. So what about outside of a sport context? Obviously, you've already touched on that a little bit, but what do you think? How do you think that applies to a work environment or a schooling environment, compared to a sporting environment?
Yeah, so in schooling, it's a bit very difficult because I guess there's not necessarily clear goals to win or like clear checkpoints to win. I think the most important things during school is like you enjoy what you learn.
Yeah.
Because while you do learn all throughout your life, especially when you get like older A levels, you got to pick the subjects you want to study. And so I would think 99% of the time you would pick subjects that interest you because you want to learn it, you want to be there.
Yeah.
For example, when you're younger, you might not have a passion for music at all. Personally, I was not very musically inclined, but when I was in like the later years of school, I was doing languages. I was doing like food tech. That's because I was interested in those subjects. I wanted to do it. I just did music because it was the prescribed subjects that I had to do. But it just means I've ticked off the fact that I've learned music once in my life. But it's also in terms of that enjoyment. It's picking things you like, doing things you like.
Yeah.
But also just enjoying the process. Like, yes, chemistry might not be your favourite subject on earth, but it's being able to go, oh, this makes sense. Like, this could be interesting if I had more of a heart for it, but it's fun. And then the winning side of things would be like, I'm achieving good grades. I am participating in group activities, in group discussions in class. And it's just being able to, I guess, meet those standards of, yes, I want to do this. I guess it's coming from the enjoyment in a way where you're doing it because you want to. Therefore, you're achieving those good grades, getting into leadership positions at school, and that kind of thing. And just the same thing at like in a working capacity, you're doing a job because you enjoy it. Like, I would think you surely wouldn't throw yourself into a role that you know you're going to absolutely hate.
Yeah.
Because in adult life, you have to do this 5 days a week. Like in school, there's school holidays every 3 months, kind of.
Yeah.
That's not really a thing in your adult life. And so it's being able to go, I'm doing this because I'm enjoying this. It's picking something you like. But it's also winning like, I'm really liking my job. How can I challenge myself and move up? Because that's how I think it looks. How do you think from being in school? How does that impact you at school?
Yeah, I think you've touched on a lot of the basics and the content that I look at it obviously at a schooling perspective. I think winning enjoyment obviously just comes down to enjoying what you do, and that in itself could be a win. If you enjoy what you do, you're more likely to succeed at it than something that you don't love. Obviously there are exemptions. Some things aren't like that, but if you're just looking at subjects, if you don't like a subject but you like something else, you're more likely to listen in that subject. You're more likely to actually learn and enjoy what you're doing, and then when tests or assignments come around, then you're more likely to actually do well. So those sort of things, just how enjoyment can tie with winning, and how if you do enjoy what you do, the winning aspect can just come with it. And same with not enjoying something. And obviously back to a sports context, that's probably the same thing as well with that. If you do like a sport and you do, want to, play well and you want to, do it to its fullest, then obviously you're gonna want to win, and you're probably gonna win. Not every time, but most times. So I think just looking at it in a different perspective of, if you do enjoy something, then yeah, maybe the winning does come with it instead of looking at two separate parts. But then it could also be that the losing aspect can also just derail the whole winning thing, because for some people winning means more than enjoyment. So that can also just come down to outside factors. Maybe it's coaches, maybe it's family, friends pressuring you to succeed at something because they see something in you that you don't. So it's just about perspective, and it's about how you apply yourself to things that you enjoy and how you apply yourself to things that you don't enjoy. So is there any way that you can relate to that sort of scenario, or do you think that it's just different to how you view it?
No, I definitely think, like you said, the important things that winning, sorry, enjoying does lead to winning. It's a bit of like a parallel line situation that I suppose intersect at some point.
Yeah.
And definitely this comes from a lot of sporting examples. Our cricket team definitely has shown signs of enjoying playing the sport, being around each other, getting around each other, which has then gone, okay, it's instilled that belief within us going, if we keep having fun, we can get to the next step, which is win a game. And we've shown plenty of examples of that in our past season, and I'm sure you would relate to that as well. And so sometimes you might not be having fun, but the rest of them are, and you're still getting to that outcome, and it could be the opposite. They're not having fun, but you are. Yep. And you could still get that result, you still could not. I think it's important to just not let the not winning side of things impact the enjoyment though.
Yep.
Sometimes, yes, you just have a bad run of form, you keep losing games, you're not getting the grades you want in assignments, you're not getting the job that you want, and it's kind of taking, oh, maybe this field isn't for me, this subject isn't for me, this sport isn't for me. Instead of, I guess, thinking that, sometimes that may be the case, not to say it isn't, but instead of thinking it like that, saying single-handed and like single-mindedly going, no, this hasn't worked out for me twice, I can't do this anymore, it's going, okay, how can I change the situation? What can I do to make sure I'm still having fun? But not pressuring myself to keep winning.
Yeah.
I'm sure do you reckon you would have an example of being in that position of?
Yeah, it'd probably just come down to, sporting and schooling scenarios. So yeah, sports, if you take cricket for an example again, it's a hard game when you're not in form, which obviously happens to a lot of people, obviously happens to me, happens to you. So it's about, when I'm not in form, or when just results aren't going my way, do I really enjoy the game? And it's about looking at it like that. But then when you do win and when you do good, then, you do enjoy certain things. So yeah, I do have examples like that, with school as well. Whether it's a subject, if it's a certain thing that I don't get, or if I don't like the teacher, for an example, and there's just issues, and then I might not like the subject then, but maybe later on when we go to a different topic, or I get a different teacher, or if I just enjoy what I'm learning, then maybe, yeah, I will, do better in assignments, and then I'll like it even more. And then it's sort of just looking at it in two different perspectives of just, maybe when you're losing you won't like it, but maybe when you're doing good you will enjoy it. So once again, it's how, those two things can be connected, and how that can affect the way you view things, and how winning versus, enjoyment, how that really comes down to how you view certain scenarios and how you view certain positions that you're in, whether it's a working context, schooling context, sporting context, it doesn't really matter, just as long as, you sort of just think to yourself about, what you want to do and what you enjoy, and how you want to go about it. I think that's the sort of scenarios I can think of. But yeah, do you think that enjoyment and winning is also just tied together, or do you think there's also just that aspect of, it's separate things that can be put together depending on, certain scenarios?
Yeah, it just depends on the scenario. It could be, in a way, the same thing. It could be that one influences the other. Or it could be that they're two separate things and just keep it that way. Because, end of the day, you just got to think about the sun is sunnier on the other side of the tunnel, you
Yeah.
would think. Because sometimes you have to go through that bad run of form, that slump, whatever, to get to the other side.
Yeah.
Because, in a way, also winning doesn't have to be positive.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like, oh, I got it, or we won this. It could be that potentially, like you said, you were struggling in a certain subject. It's maybe you went from a C to a B. That's a win. It might not look as great as the other A's on your report card, for example, but it's a win because you know that was not where you were same time last year, for example.
Yeah.
It could also be, oh, I didn't get a job, but I tried. That's a win. You went and put yourself out there. You gave yourself the best opportunity to potentially land that role. Or it could be you're playing a sport, but you lose to a really good opponent. It could be we lost to them only by this number of runs. We still managed to take this many wickets off them. Yes, on paper it says we lost. Didn't gain the points needed to move up the ladder.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, yeah, like you said, it's very important to apply the right context to it, the right mindset to it. Because, yeah, in the end of the day, you just got to keep that fine balance between the two of them.
Yeah.
Not let one directly influence the other. Not directly, but it's more like intensely influence the other. Because you're relying on happiness or enjoyment to win.
Yeah.
Or you're relying on getting those wins so you can feel happy. You've got to keep an equal level of both. But again, in the end of the day, having fun is the most important thing in life, I think.
Yeah.
Just putting yourself out there, giving things a go, and along the way you'll win, which I think contributes to having a good life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's some really good opinions there, and very good views as well. So we're running a bit short on time, but do you think that maybe in more of a schooling context, outside of that job and sport context, do you think that just winning and enjoyment itself is as important? Do you think winning's as important as enjoyment, or do you think that people can fully immerse themselves in something like a sport, for an example, if they do feel as though they're winning and they're good at something, or do you think that people can still enjoy something that they're not good at?
Oh, you 100% can enjoy something you're not good at. For example, like you might not be getting the grades you want to, or let's say take food tech, for example. It's a subject that a couple of schools teach, and it could be that you're enjoying the fact that you're learning how to cut things, to use certain kitchen appliances, different recipes. It could be, oh, you read something wrong and messed up a step in the recipe, so it comes out burnt or flavor's just really off. But it's the fact that you had fun in the process.
Yeah.
So I think you can have that fun, even at things you're bad at. Like with a sport, it could be you're not the fastest swimmer out there. But if you're having fun moving through the water, that's in itself a win.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really important to consider that having that feeling of enjoyment is a win in life.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, it just depends on context and how it can be applied to different contexts. Obviously, we've talked about schooling, jobs, sports, and cooking as well. So yeah, I think it's just about the way you view those things and the way you view winning and enjoyment, and how you think they connect, or how you think they're just two separate things. So yeah, we have run out of time for today's episode on Ceypod. So we covered the context in which enjoyment and winning can be applied, and the mindset of the way you view both winning and enjoyment, and the way you separate them or the way you tie them together. So join us next time on Ceypod Live.